and welcome to today's episode of Authentic Achievements, where it's my absolute delight to be joined by the fabulous Derick Sebastian. Derick, welcome.
Aloha. Thank you so much for having me, Kim. I appreciate it.
Aloha. I'm so excited about this conversation, and we were already really getting into it before we started. So before we get stuck in and don't take our audience on the journey, let me share a little bit more about you with our audience. So you're a Maui born who found his calling at the age of 11 with a ukulele in your hands. This humble instrument is not just a tool, but a gateway to hope, excitement, and grand dreams. Your journey in music began there, weaving through a path of unwavering faith and relentless hard work. In those early days, you emerged as an internationally acclaimed ukulele virtuoso, capturing hearts worldwide. Your instrumental piece, From His Heart, has earned a Na Hoku Hanu Hanu 2010, I hope I did that okay, nomination, marking it the onset of a career filled with accolades and awe-inspiring performances. I mean, wow, what a journey. And to find your passion and your purpose so early, I mean, that's quite the achievement. Most of us are like still struggling now. So can you bring that journey to life a little bit more for us, please?
Yeah, Kim, it's been a journey for sure. It's been an experience of a lifetime. The ukulele has definitely changed my life, and for the good. Even though it wasn't easy, throughout the whole thing. But I gotta kind of scale back a little bit. The story was, basically I lost my dad when I was 3 years old. He passed away in an industrial accident. And, being that young, I didn't process it well. I just thought, everybody was all emotional, but here I was just thinking, oh, what's going on? And mom said that dad was going to be sleeping for a while. As a 3-year-old, that kind of was a little bit more easy to process. So, when I got a little older, maybe like 6, 7, 8 years old, I started to realize that, I don't have a dad. And it started to kind of affect me in a way where I started to question life in a sense where, why are my classmates having their parents around during open houses or school fundraisers and school functions, and I started to here I am with my sister or my auntie or sometimes by myself. So it kind of really it was kind of like just kind of felt like not secure per se. And then I have bad asthma and stuff like that growing up, so eczema and all this stuff, so I wasn't really even secure with health wise. So mom didn't want me to play sports because I barely could breathe at some days and stuff like that. So one day when I was like 9 years old, I think, mom said, okay, let's try baseball so we can get you out of the house, rather than just watching cartoons and all that stuff. So, when I started playing baseball, it really like opened up new life for me. I really fell in love with the sport. I loved it. I can say I excelled pretty well. And I'm the youngest of 4, so everybody were playing sports above me. But anyways, when I hit like junior high, 6th grade, about 11 years old, my asthma got bad again. And the story was, doctors said, hey, I don't know what's going on, but we got to take a break with sports. So you just got to rest your body and rest your lungs. So that got taken away. I was back to square one, going to school. And then right after school, going home, watching cartoons, doing homework and watching TV. And life got kind of boring again. And then, God has he's humorous in many ways. So one day I was walking through the halls during recess during my 6th grade year. And I saw our school security, Mr. Ellis, this big Hawaiian man, but we were always good family friends from the previous years because he knew my older brother and my older sisters, and he's just a good family friend to begin with. So I knew Mr. Ellis, but I didn't know he played ukulele, but he was our school security. He was sitting on the bench playing ukulele, and there were a lot of kids around him just laughing, having a great time, and just, Mr. Ellis playing, smiling, and improvising, making all these lyrics up. And I gravitated to that. And, I was like, he ended up inviting me over to play ukulele, and I kind of tried it a little bit. I It sounded terrible, but I I really enjoyed it. And that day I remember changed my life, because every recess I would go find him. We would sit down, we would pass the ukulele back and forth. And from there, school got really exciting, because that filled the void, and it wasn't boring anymore. You know what I mean? So that's the story how the ukulele came about, and the rest is pretty much history. So
No, I mean, there's so much. I live in that. I can't begin to imagine what it must have been like to lose your dad at 3. I mean, I sadly lost my dad last year, but I'm clearly a lot older than 3. And I know how it hit, but I can't begin to imagine what that must have felt like, and that feeling of being different when you look at your peer group and those around you. And can I just say, I love. You say ukulele so beautifully instead of my ukulele, which just sounds dreadful. So I'm having
it sounds great.
my lack of finesse in how we say it. But what I love is that you found your way back to being the creative that you are supposed to be. So we're all here to create something. And that's often the thing that holds us back, isn't it? Is it what is it we're supposed to create?
Yeah, right.
Through that connection with Mr. Ellis, you actually found your path to become a creator, and therefore the world around you becomes less boring because it's not being done to you; it's being done with you. Would that feel like a fair reflection?
Absolutely. And Mr. Ellis, as the years went on, it became more of it was really not about the ukulele. Ukulele was just used as a tool to speak life, to be encouraged, to elevate, to be loved, to be light, in a sense where the ukulele was something that really was the bridge to have a broader life's perspective rather than just relying on talent. It was about living through the aloha spirit, and the aloha spirit here in Hawaii is loving unconditionally, just being grateful, being appreciative. Aloha in the dictionary means hello and goodbye kind of deal, ideally. But the aloha and just being grateful, being appreciative despite of your circumstances, accepting, embracing, but Mr. Ellis really was just really that main foundation. And again, ukulele was just a tool to connect us even deeper, really. So
I love that. It was I mean, I love that he had such a great connection. And you're right, there's the words can mean one thing, but actually how they're expressed and what they mean is the bit that's important, isn't it? And that feeling of being grateful for everything. I say to my little girl, she's 8, and I say to her all the time, everything in life, no matter what it is, everything in life is a lesson, a blessing, or both. So in the moment you don't feel blessed, look for the lesson. I promise the blessing will be right inside there, wrapped in a bow, because it always is. It's there to help us grow and develop, but you need to find your tool to connect with it. And it sounds like for you and for Mr. Ellis, that initial tool of connection and communication was the ukulele, which then became just part of the growth that came out of that, and the creativity and the ability to give back and leave a more lasting legacy. Would that be fair?
Yes, absolutely. And you're hitting it right on point. I mean, I've been very blessed to really travel the world and play on these amazing stages. Just internationally, throughout the U.S. and all these sporting events and TED Talks and all that great stuff, meeting amazing people along the way. But at the end of the day, Mr. Ellis, he passed away back in 2013. So, but just reflecting back, knowing that he doesn't really live beside me now, he lives within me, and there's a lot of things that I reflect. And one of the main things that you just kind of elaborated on is, it's not really what you do in life. It's all about how you make people feel, and that's what they really remember. They're not going to remember what car you drive, or what shirt you're wearing, or the accolades or whatever. It's really how you make them feel. And at the end of the day, what I realize is it's not the talent that it's important, it's the relationships, that longevity of how you make them feel, and they remember you that way. So
I couldn't agree more. I'm a massive believer in the power of relationships, and the fact that they are something that you keep investing in and you keep iterating in. And just because people aren't with us here doesn't mean to say they're not with us here. And actually, you can still reconnect with their wisdom, with their love, with their guidance, with their humor, because you keep that alive. I would say to my little girl, I say we lost her grandfather last year, and I was like, but every time you see a butterfly, that's somebody we love coming back to let us know they're still here, because they're fluttering past us, and it's always at a moment you need it, always, that they turn up as that great reminder that we've got to go inward to see how can we better connect with people. And I love that actually that's really, what you're doing. I mean, the whole instrumental piece being from your heart, or from his heart, but I mean from your heart, is that real piece around saying, actually, I'm going to be open and vulnerable and share that with the world to make a bigger difference.
Yeah.
And that's
absolutely
beautiful. I mean, you must be so proud of the impact it's having for positive.
I am. I've like I said, I'm very fortunate to have done what I've done, and actually, becoming who I am, and still working on myself and evolving as an artist, as a creative. But at the end of the day, it's all about ohana, which is family here in Hawaii. My wife and I, we have a great marriage. We just made 20 years married. And been together, I don't know, don't tell her I said this, 26, 27 years, I don't know, I lost track already. But and we have 3 beautiful boys. They're all old now, older, I should say, 19, almost 17 and 14 or something like that. And I think that's just the foundation. That's my why. There's no failures in life. There's always lessons. And that, to me, despite of your circumstances, it's all about growing. It's about developing your character, appreciating, embracing the moments, kind of deal. So it's it's totally piggybacking off of what you're saying. It's all about that foundation, the relationships, and just being in the moments. So.
Oh, I love that. And it goes so quick, doesn't it? I mean, I appreciate my little girl's younger; she's only 8. But you kind of look and go, how did you get to 8? Where did that go? And my niece and nephews are between 16 and 16, 20, and 22, and you're like, no, stop it! It's going too fast. And whilst you want them to grow and you want them to be, whoever they're supposed to be in the world, kind of look at it. And somebody said to me the other day, and I'd love to know if this resonates with you. Somebody said to me, once you're a parent, the days are long and the years are short. I was like, that's quite well said.
I love it. That's completely on point,
I think that's sometimes the thing in it, isn't it? And I loved also what you were sharing, which was it's about kind of creating. One of the things I share with Scarlett all of the time is our only job in life, and the only thing we're supposed to do, is be a better version of us today than we were yesterday. Not a better version of anybody else, not an improvement on X, Y, or Z, but just, did I learn what I could be better at today as me, the individual, and did I strive to achieve that? And I think once that's where your focus is, then actually it really is about staying connected with people, isn't it? And listening to what's important to them so that you can maintain that relationship and that connection and find a common ground that allows you to grow together.
Yeah. Wow. That's completely on point. 100%. Just being better every day, not just as your, in your career, which unfortunately today's world is career driven, but at the same time, who are you as a person? Your belief, your true you, it's all about, you know, everybody has a gift, and whether you like it or not, your purpose in this world is to share that gift, and be courageous enough to acknowledge it, and then see where it takes you. In today's world, and I speak, I mean, on behalf of my kids, I encourage them, don't be like me. I'm not expecting you to be this great artist or whatever, ukulele player. I want you to become you, the best you, which is, you have to find that. I'm not going to tell you what to do. So, it's all about, being encouraged and encouraging others, and being you, and finding what, fires your passion, in a sense. And that, I think that brings out, authentic achievements, exactly what your show is about. And I think what you do is so inspiring. It's so motivational, and I love your energy, and I love your accent. So I love talking with you and asking you questions. But that's you, Kim. So yeah, it's all about growing in that authentic way, for sure.
Oh, I love that. And that reminds me of one of my favorite quotes. So everybody that's known me for a long time knows I love a quote. And I'm renowned for, it's like, is your head just full of quotes? You've got a quote for everything. And I was like, I just like but one of my favorites is Pablo Picasso one. And I think it just summarizes what you've just said. And that is that the meaning of life is to find your gift. And the purpose of life is to give it away.
Yeah.
And I've always loved that, because that is what we're here to do. I stumbled on for a long time was finding the gift before you're able to start giving it away. Because I think sometimes, and I'd love to know if this resonates with you, sometimes the gift that we have. So I believe we're all born with a natural talent, and what I mean by that is something that to us comes so easily that we dismiss it as not talented, because actually we don't acknowledge that it is a talent for that to come so easily. And so we're busy looking for this other talent, this something that we strive to. And for me, many years ago, I got told your natural talent is you can talk to anybody. I spent 20 odd years saying I'd got hairdresser face. People will literally tell me anything. Like, I'm the person people talk to on the tube. I mean, nobody talks to anybody on the tube, but people will talk to me. And I
love it.
It's not really very talented, is it? It's not hard to talk to people. You just open your mouth and the words tumble out.
Right.
It is that you find somebody for which it's really hard, for which they can't, because actually they're overwhelmed with worrying they're going to be judged, or thinking there's going to be a something else. Whereas I'm so genuinely interested in everybody's story that I've never met anybody yet that isn't interested in their own story, because it's their story. They have to live it every day. So if you ask them about it, if you're genuinely interested, they're not going to go, I'm not going to tell you, because we kind of want to be there. But I think it is, what I love is you found your gift, your way of connecting, your way of communicating, and therefore passing on that creativity through something that is so through music, through those connections, but actually a different way of communicating with a part of the other person's soul that allows them to feel part of that journey. And music speaks to us in a way where we feel like our soul's been listened to. Would that feel fair to you?
Yeah, 100%. And for regarding my music, in the beginning, it was definitely I was on a mission, from 11 years old to about 12, 13 or whatever. In the first couple of years of playing the ukulele, my goal was to master that instrument. It's all about talent. It was all about waking up early, putting like 4, 5, 6 hours a day, before school, during school, after school, and even when sports came back into play. I still made time for that ukulele. And then, that ukulele, after not mastering, but getting really comfortable with the instrument, it really allowed me to dream, to have visions. And, my dream was to travel the world and inspire, others through the ukulele. But at the same time, there was still those goals where I wanted to be on that big stage. I wanted to, travel internationally. I wanted to be, on a TED Talk, TED Talk stage or TEDx stage, on these sporting event stages, arenas, baseball stadiums, whatever. It was so cool to do that. But I realized one thing, that it wasn't as fulfilling as I thought it was, to be quite honest. And it was a weird phase in my career, because I was after something that it was cool to say I did, but I had to switch my mindset and the approach in this music career, that it wasn't about the talent, it was about touching others. How could you inspire the guy that's sitting way in the back of the room scraping the walls? How can you incorporate not just the music talent, but the stories behind it? And that is when my whole entire career started to shift, where people started to come up to me crying after the show, and enjoying the story, and not just the song, but the story behind the song.
Yeah.
And that really opened up a whole new perspective in my, not just music career. Now it's a creative career. So songwriting, music composition. Now, I just got done writing a book, and that's definitely well on its way on launch very soon, So, but yeah, it's just that, speaking from your heart, meaning the fact that you have a gift, but you acknowledge him in a very authentic way, from the heart kind of deal. So, yeah.
Oh, I love that, because I think the one thing that connects us all, irrelevant of our age, our race, our gender, our culture, is we all teach and we all learn through stories. And stories are such an amazing way to create commonality, to make it attainable to everybody. And that's why I love that the next phase of your journey has been around that new book, Daydreaming with Purpose, an inspirational memoir of the Aloha spirit in action and self-leadership strategies to manifest your passion into your profession. I mean, I can't wait to read it, if I'm honest, because when I look at that, and what I love is a lot of things that we hear and we see a lot of on social media is, we should just visualize it better, and we should just, but we don't talk about taking the action. And if we don't take the action, it won't happen. If we're just going to sit on a sofa and just think about it, we're going to be sat there for a long time, because it actually isn't. It is about, and I mean, your title sums it all up. It is about daydreaming with a purpose, but then it's also putting it into action. It's taking active steps to move that together, and that leading yourself element. I mean, there's so many parts in that title. I'm like, God, it speaks on so many levels. But it's kind of, it strikes me that what you're trying to achieve with all of this is make it something that is not only inspiring to people, but it kind of ignites them to take action and helps them by understanding what actions they could take. Because we've all seen those self-help books that go, the problem is over there. And then you go, oh, okay, how do I get over there? And how do I fix the problem? Because I now know where it is. I can point to it. I can draw a picture of it. I can describe it to all my friends, but I can't change it. I can't overcome it. I'm stuck, trying to work out the resolution. And it strikes me that with what you're doing, it's bringing that whole story to life, to say, here's where the problem was for me. And here's the steps I took to understand the problem, and then to find a resolution for the problem. And some of these are, you might not have a replicable problem, but you'd be able to take replicable steps to understand it. Would that be fair?
Yeah, absolutely. Kim, you're 100% on point. Going into this book project, I mean, it was an idea 5-6 years ago. But I got to be honest with you. I thought to myself, that imposter syndrome, like, who am I to write a book? Like like I'm not a good writer. And, I just talked myself out of it in so many times. And, you know, like I said, it was just an idea. And, just so happened, I became good friends, with a book coach, an author, a speaking coach, and he did it all. And he was, for the past couple of years, he's been encouraging me, like, hey, you need to write a book. And that imposter syndrome just always comes into play. Nah, who am I to write a book? Who am I to just tell people about my stories? I mean, I don't think that's important enough. And, so became early last year, I believe, 2024, we sat down having coffee, and he said, okay, are you ready to write your book? I said, nah. And, I kept killing the idea. And, he asked me, what is it? Why don't you want to write a book? So I said, I don't think that my stories are good enough or it's important enough per se. I'm not saying that it was a waste of time, but who am I to write a book? So he said, you know what, Derick? And maybe it was in a kindly frustration remark. He said, you know what, at the end of the day, you can, at the very least, you can write this book to stamp your legacy, to leave this for your kids and your grandkids and the generations to come, because they got to know who's Derick Sebastian, and not just as an artist, but as a dad, as a husband, as a believer, as a person who believes in relationships and faith and all that good stuff. And, after that, Kim, the tables turned like immediately. And I said, you know what, I'm going to write this book. And, initially, I do speak about my stories, but it's really about a memoir with a message. And it lives through my stories, my music, my relationships. I do have, when my lesson at the end of each chapter, there's lesson learned, there's tips, there's exercises, there's summaries, there's call to action, and there are QR codes that you can scan, and there are songs that I wrote that really pertains to the whole section. So there's 5 sections, and 4 or 5 chapters in each section. So there's music throughout the whole book that applies to what I'm writing about. But yeah, it became this whole big project, and like how, like how you were saying, that book, it's not really about our stories. It's about how we can inspire, and the stories might be the same, but it's definitely relatable, to some degree in life. So,
I so resonate with that, because I think if you just impact one person, I remember one of the most terrifying things I ever did was I did a TEDx a few years ago. And I remember just before I went on, going, we'll get the imposter syndrome, going, oh, I shouldn't be doing this. People are just going to think it's a really, like, some self-indulgent woman sharing, because it was quite a personal story that then went into some actionable advice. And so I remember the guy who was running it. And even though I knew what I wanted to talk about, which was the power of belief and the fact that we have the greatest gift, I believe, that any one of us can give is the gift of belief. Because as children, if you think about learning to walk, it would be so daunting, wouldn't it? Learning to walk. If somebody told you tomorrow that's what you got to do, it'd be like, oh, I don't think I can do that. At our most vulnerable, and with these tiny, tiny little things, we do it. And so I was like, that's interesting. Why do we do it? And for me, it came down to one thing in 2 parts, which was belief. So children believe they're just like us. My little girl thinks we're twins. I mean, the oddest twins, Schwarzenegger and DeVito, but she thinks we're twins. So they think you can do it, so I can do it. So they just don't think to give up. But the second thing, and for me, this was the eye opener, was I've yet to see a little one learning to walk that doesn't have at least one adult nearby going, come on, you've got this. You're so close. And so they borrow our belief and add it to their own. Well, we can still do that today. We can still share with people our belief in them today. We don't, but we could by saying, I believe this is going to be, and I do, I believe your book is going to be so impactful because it's coming from that position of wanting to add value to somebody else, wanting to leave things better than you found them. And I think intention flows through into the reality. So I'm can't wait for it to be launched. And I could literally chat to you, Derick, all day, but I'm very conscious of time. You've already shared so very much, but could I ask you, if you had to go back and give your younger self a piece of advice, what would it be?
Whew, that's such a great question. It goes very deep. Um, you know, growing up, I don't think I was as stable as I thought I was. I wasn't doing anything bad or anything like that, but I think what you were saying about belief, I didn't really believe in myself, especially not having a dad and being, I was insecure. I cared a lot what other people thought of me, how they looked at me, but the ukulele was that bridge that brought me closer to Mr. Ellis, and he helped me to believe in myself slowly. It took some time, but once I kind of got the grasp of knowing the fact that I am unique, I am special in my own very way, I believe that now and still today. It's so powerful, and it's so moving. I mean, some days I feel like I can move mountains, and it's not being very egoistic or overconfident. It's just the fact that I'm blessed with a gift where, if you put your mind to something and you believe it, you bet you're gonna get it. You know what I mean? You bet you're gonna get it, or you're gonna do it. If not today, you're gonna find a way tomorrow or next month or next year. And that brings in persistence. That brings in consistency, being courageous every day, knowing the fact that, it's not winning. It's not about just winning accolades or external stuff like a trophy or anything like that. It's really winning the game of life inside of you, knowing the fact that every day, you woke up, you did what was better than yesterday. You win by if you got to make a phone call, or you do a research, or you read a book, or you did an email, or whatever it may be, you took a chance to falling forward per se. One of my great friends, Fred Crowell, he passed away. He was a close mentor of mine as well. He always encouraged me that, Derick, you are a miracle to this world. You're a gift. So you have to understand that you need to win every second. When you win the second, you win the minute. When you win the minutes, you win the hour. And all of a sudden, you after you winning hours, you win the day. And when you win the day, is meaning the fact that you did your best today, and you went for it, and you just living out God's purpose moving forward. So it's all that belief.
I love that. And it brings me to a quote I wrote for my little girl, actually. But whilst I wrote it for my little girl, I believe it to be true of everybody. And my quote was, to be kind, to be curious, to dream big and take action and believe, because you are proof that miracles happen. And I believe all of us are proof that miracles happen to somebody. But we have to do all of those elements, don't we? We have to take that action. We have to have that belief, or find people whose belief you can borrow in those moments of doubt, because we all have them, don't we? We all have those moments that set us back. But I love everything you're doing and the impact that you're having. I'm so very, very grateful to have had the opportunity to share your journey. But before we go, can you tell the people listening and watching how they can get in touch with you, and what you can do to support them on their journey?
Well, to find me, it's easy. Just go to my website, dericksebastian.com, DERICK, Sebastian.com. You'll find my book information, my socials, and all that stuff. But yeah, I mean, simply that's where you can find me. And, just, in life is short. The days feel long, but life is really short. And it's very, it's at the end of the day, it's important that we just love one another, love yourself, knowing the fact that we're not perfect, and accepting the fact that, hey, it's not, the imperfectness it's okay. It's that growth, it's that growth that you really want to shoot for in life. It's very important, and just be true to yourself. knowing the fact that you are a gift, you're a miracle, believe in your purpose, but because you have one in this world, and the best is yet to come. So.
Oh, wow. Amazing. And I feel very, very blessed. And for anybody listening, watching that didn't scribble that down fast enough, all of the ways to connect with Derick are in the show notes below. So please just look below and you will find them. But I love that whole message around embracing the fact that we are, in fact, perfectly imperfect.
Mm-hmm.
And our role is to keep working on those elements. Derick, it's been an absolute delight. Thank you so very much.
Thank you, Kim. You're amazing. You keep smiling, and make sure you get some rest in the UK. All right. I appreciate it. Thank you.
You take care. And to everybody listening and watching, I hope you found this as an insightful, inspiring, and action inspiring to actually think about how we're going to do things differently. And if we're not currently living our purpose, what actions can we take to go and find it? Until next time, take care.